The genetic basis of schizophrenia family studies. Family studies have confirmed that risk of schizophrenia increases in line with genetic similarity to a relative with the disorder. This relationship is shown in the graph below left, which presents the findings from Irving Gottesman's 1991 large-scale family study. For example, someone with an aunt with schizophrenia has a 2% chance of developing it, increasing to 9% if the individual is a sibling and 48% if they are an identical twin. Of course, family members tend to share aspects of their environment as well as many of their genes, so the correlation represents both, but family studies still give good support for the importance of genes in schizophrenia. Candidate genes. The next logical step is to identify candidate genes. Early research in this area looked for a single genetic variation in the belief that one faulty gene could explain schizophrenia. However, it appears that a number of different genes are involved, i.e., schizophrenia is polygenic. The most likely genes would be those coding for neurotransmitters including dopamine. See the dopamine hypothesis below. In one particularly large study, Stephen Ripke et al. 2014 combined all previous data from genome-wide studies, i.e. those looking at the whole human genome as opposed to particular genes of schizophrenia. The genetic makeup of 37,000 people with a diagnosis of schizophrenia was compared to that of 113,000 controls. 108 separate genetic variations were associated with slightly increased risk of schizophrenia. Because different studies have identified different candidate genes, it also appears that schizophrenia is etiologically heterogeneous, i.e., different combinations of factors, including genetic variation, can lead to the condition. The role of mutation schizophrenia can also have a genetic origin in the absence of a family history of the disorder. One explanation for this is mutation in parental DNA, which can be caused by radiation, poison, or viral infection. For mutation comes from positive correlations between paternal age associated with increased risk of sperm mutation and risk of schizophrenia, increasing from around 0.7% with fathers under 25 to over 2% in fathers over 50, Brown et al. 2002. Neural correlates of schizophrenia. We do not know exactly what causes the symptoms of schizophrenia on a biological level. However, research has identified some neural correlates, i.e. a brain structure or function. The best known neural correlate of schizophrenia is the neurotransmitter dopamine DA. It is important in the functioning of several brain systems related to the symptoms of schizophrenia. The original dopamine hypothesis. The original hypothesis was based on the discovery that drugs used to treat schizophrenia, antipsychotics, which reduce DA-caused symptoms similar to those in people with Parkinson's disease, a condition associated with low DA levels, Seaman 1987. Therefore, schizophrenia might be the result of high levels of DA, hyperdopaminergia, hyper means high, in subcortical areas of the brain. For example, an excess of DA receptors and pathways from the subcortex to Broca's area, responsible for speech production, may explain specific symptoms of schizophrenia such as poverty of speech and/or auditory hallucinations. Updated versions of the dopamine hypothesis, Kenneth Davis et al. 1991 proposed the addition of cortical hypodopaminergia, i.e. abnormally low DA in the brain's cortex. This too can explain symptoms of schizophrenia. For example, low DA in the prefrontal cortex, responsible for thinking, could explain cognitive problems, i.e. negative symptoms of schizophrenia. It has also been suggested that cortical hypodopaminergia leads to subcortical hyperdopaminergia, so both high and low levels of DA in different brain regions are part of the updated version. As well as explaining the links between abnormal DA levels and symptoms, current versions of the dopamine hypothesis try to explain the origins of abnormal DA function. It seems that both genetic variations, VAV, see above, and early experiences of stress, both psychological and physical, make some people more sensitive to cortical hypodopaminergia and hence subcortical hyperdopaminergia, House et al. 2017.